So yeah, who was this player you were talking through?
Yeah, so the third player that I really really like this week, and we discussed it a lot on the podcast last night, is Connor Watson.
Yeah,
Obviously, with the issues with Brandon Smith, he's been on fire when he's been given opportunity for minutes this year. Austin, who's one of our interns, who's currently sitting in the top 100, he got on Watson pretty much straight away, and he was really really enjoying having him in his team. So if you have a look at his games this year, he's averaging 53.4 and 69.4 minutes. But those games where he plays at least 60 minutes, he has averages 59.3. He also has a real chance of picking up the hooker duel with Brandon Smith in hot water for the Roosters. No hookers, averaging over like 52 this year. So having a high 50s average hooker who is also available in the mid, and he's a really interesting option this week. I've been tossing up whether I trade Cam McInnes to him,
yeah,
but I'm pretty short on trades. I've only got 5 left after one this week, so I'm trying to work out if it's worth spending a trade on that. The benefit to me is obviously I pick up an extra number in round 16. So that sort of gives me a little bit of a safety, because if Latrell Mitchell's named for State of Origin, I'll be short a wing fullback for next game. But I can actually, if I get trade Cameron McInnes to Watson, I can play him in the middle, shift Fainu into the edge, and shift Aitken, who I was going to play in the edge, into the centers, and then push Garrick down in the wing fullback. So I
yeah,
can cover Latrell. I can cover Latrell Mitchell with Connor Watson via dual positions,
yeah,
um, which is pretty cool. And I think maybe he's got a 5 point upgrade up to maybe a little bit more than that on McInnes. Plus, he's going to be available in one or two more games this year, and potentially cover hooker, which is a really tough position. So I'm a really big fan of Connor Watson this week, although I understand, obviously he's pretty expensive.
yeah. So with that in mind, like, who would you go for as a better buy? Is you and Aiken or Connor Watson? Like, they're around the same price, both 780. And like, who do you think with Aiken playing both major buy rounds, does he get the thing, or is it just the middle and hooker duel that he could pick up is so important?
Well, it's a really interesting one, because it depends what position is of need more to you. So, for example, like I traded Ethan Strange a couple of weeks ago, so I've got one less center than what you do. So
Yeah,
it may be like if you got Ethan Strange, you got Iro, you got Garrick, you got Karaz, you may find that in fact you've got kind of a surplus of players, and if you're spending the same amount of money to get Ewan Aitken or Connor Watson, at that point I probably prefer Connor Watson.
yeah,
Uh, but Ewan Aitken is a weapon, and I've already got him in my team. I prioritized buying him a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of I'm lucky in the fact it's hard for me to choose between my two favorite children.
yeah.
But no, I really like Connor Watson, and if it works with your buy planning to go that way instead of UA Aiken, then I would potentially look at that. But the straight bat, the straight bat move, so to speak, is I think is UA Aiken.
Yeah. Do you think that Aiken, like, is it just time to kind of cut your losses on him? Like, if you're not an owner of him at 780K, he's already made so much money. Do you think it's time to maybe look elsewhere and get that player, like a point of difference player, or is it just
Well,
Aiken this
that's
season long keeper?
that's an argument. I mean, Aiken is the number one player in his position. He's also in 60% of teams in the top 5,000. Connor Watson may well be the number one hooker assuming he picks up that duel. He's in 0.76% of teams in the top 5,000.
Yeah,
So, if you're looking to try to make ranks up, and, you're looking for a throw at the stumps, Connor Watson could 100% be a throw at the stumps. But yeah, that's, I really, really do not want to talk anybody out of buying Ewan Aiken, because he is so good.
yeah,
But, 60%, 0.7%, same price. Typically, a high scoring player. I think they've both got sort of. Ewan Aiken probably has similar job security. He's also going to be available in one more game. So Aiken's only got one more bye. Watson's going to miss round 19 and round like 23.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the split. The difference is you get one more game out of Aiken. Also, the Dolphins, Aiken is pretty much their only, really gun player. The Roosters have Manu, Tedesco, Angus Crichton. Plus, if you got Watson, and like for me, I'm looking at potentially getting James Tedesco this week, potentially getting Connor Watson this week to add to my Angus Crichton and Sam Walker. I've now got 4 Roosters. I've got a problem in round 23. Not that I'm planning on having Sam Walker on my team by then,
Yeah.
but you really got to be careful about not over capitalizing. Maybe there's people running around there with Manu or May, or you got Nafahu White listed there, who's really, really interesting. And at another time where there wasn't a Sione Fainu running around, we'd be talking about Nafahu White. So yeah, no, it's you've got to weigh all these decisions up, and once again, the straight bat sort of is Aitken, but are you gonna win fantasy by buying a player that's in 60% of teams?
I mean, you don't score your runs with a straight bat, so got to have other stuff.
No, you don't.
Like
I definitely don't, mate. I
Yeah.
score about 90% of my runs over cow corner, so
Oh, what a lofted straight bat shot. That's where I score most of my runs.
yeah. Even my shots that go in the V is usually a horizontal bat shot. It's not very pretty. So
Fair enough. I've done a fair few of those ones.
yeah.
But just with, do you reckon that Connor Watson will hold the hooker position? And like, how long
Yeah.
is Brandon Smith out for? Like, I mean, I haven't really heard a legitimate answer.
I think there's a pretty wide range of outcomes here for Brandon Smith. Anything from he never wears a Roosters jersey ever again, through to he's back next week.
Yeah.
I think like the Roosters has kind of shown their cards a little bit. If you look at games in 2024, excuse me for a minute, with Brandon Smith and Connor Watson in 2024. All right. So Brandon Smith and Connor Watson have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games together this year, where Brandon Smith has averaged 53 minutes through that time. But the last 2 games where Brandon Smith and Connor Watson played together, Brandon Smith played 22 and 36 minutes respectively.
Yeah.
So, it may be that the game plan here for the Roosters is Connor Watson starts at hooker, Brandon Smith comes on at some point, Watson pushes to lock for those 25 to 30 minutes. Brandon Smith's off. They're trying to get rid of him. Connor Watson is their, replacement that will be their hooker in the event that Brandon Smith doesn't play. He also, had a game there where he played at lock. He seems to just be growing in minutes as he returns back to fitness from that injury. So if I just look at minutes for Watson with Brandon Smith the other way around, because there was a few games there where they were messing with the rotation and playing both of them. He played 2 games at 5'8". He played 1 game off the interchange though for 62 minutes, another game for 52 minutes off the interchange. But the last 5 games in a row, he's played 80 minutes. And the game before that, he played 62. So every game that Watson's played since round 5, he's played at least 62 minutes, which probably tells you a lot about how the coaching staff feel about him. And I think he's a critical part of their success. And they've obviously got the shifts with Brandon Smith. So I kind of not really concerned about Brandon Smith is the short answer, the very long answer to that short question.
Yeah. But is there any like risk you think at all of him making the New South Wales Blue squad, or do you think?
I don't think so.
No,
I think Cameron McInnes did that job there. I think Madge is a Hudson Young guy. I don't think we're going to see Watson in the team.
Yeah, I think I agree. So that makes a very interesting option. But this is the last team to go through in this video. So the Redcliffe Dolphins, you got Jeremy Marshall King, Aiken, Plath, Farnworth, Asako, and Lemuelu are probably the 6 players I would target. But out of those 6, I'd probably really only look at 3 of them, being Jeremy Marshall King, Aiken, and Plath. And then out of Jeremy Marshall King, I would have Damien Cook over Marshall King personally.
Why?
Well, I mean, I am a Cook advocate. I think here's a gun. That's pretty much the answer I got for you. I just prefer,
Okay.
I prefer Cook as a player, but I also
Do
do
you
think,
are you not concerned that they keep shuffling him out to the centers or the fullback every time there's an injury?
yeah, well, I am worried that with Peter Mamazula still on the bench, he'll either get 60 minutes or, yeah, he'll go out to the center spot or fullback spot or, like, who knows where. Like, I don't even think Tane Milton's injury was that bad on the weekend. They were just, oh, yeah, let's chuck Cook in the centers. So
Mm.
I do think, again, the straight bat option will probably be Jeremy Marshall King, but the lofted cow corner shot would probably be uh, little, oh, not little, Cook.
Damn it, Cook. Yeah.
Yeah,
The ram shot.
yeah, the red shot. But then
Yeah.
you got Aiken and Plath. I think that they're two pretty safe, both dual position in two important positions. Aiken's been
Mm.
killing it recently. He looks all the keeper, and then yeah, Plath. I think most people already have him. Is it just safe to say those two lock him in your team?
Yeah, I've never actually had Plath. A bit disappointing. I've been sort of looking at him. I looked at him this week as well as a potential. Like I was looking at depending on how my team shook out, I was maybe looking at maybe like a Cameron McInnes or something to just go to Plath just for by planning purposes, get that half position eligibility there as well. As it worked out, Atkinson wasn't named, so he was the one who got moved on. But yeah, no, I really like Plath. I think he's a really nice player to have on your interchange for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then so that's pretty much that done. But we got one more segment to ask. So what are your thoughts on like the captains? So I'd say three top captains this week, and then one pod captain you choose.
Yeah,
Personally,
all right. So
yeah, we would have Yo as probably the safest,
mhm.
along with Fafita and Hughes as like the captains, like the three safest captains this week. And then for a pod captain, uh, we actually have Ewan Aiken. Just not really.
Yeah,
He's not a pod player, but he's a pod captain because I don't think many people captain him again.
yeah, 100%. Well, if you look at footy statistics, Ewan Aiken's not even in the top list of like 15 players. So more people have got the captaincy on Lockie Galvin, who's not even playing this week, than they do on Ewan Aiken. So he is a massive pod
Yeah,
option for captaincy. I've got a pod captain. This feels like chasing points a little bit. Latrell Mitchell is a really interesting option.
mm.
He's only 2.3% captained at the moment, from what you can see. Although a lot of people don't set their captains until right before. But Latrell obviously 99 points last week against the Titans. He's not playing the Titans this week. He's playing the Broncos. But that really nice safe floor with the kick meters that he's playing, in addition to the extra involvements on top of his already high 55 wing fullback average. Like I think he's a really nice option, and I think he's a 60 average in this role that he's currently playing at the moment.
Yeah,
But Latrell does have a 25 in him as well, so I wouldn't blame anybody for doing that. He's my risky pod type captain. I've got the Sion David Fafita vice captain on Ewan Aiken. Wouldn't move it off those two guys.
yeah.
I like Isaiah Yo.
I'm going with Hughes as captain, and then Aiken as vice. But yeah, as you said, it could be shift to Isaiah Yo. But as I've already spoken about, I think he's pretty much 60 and 65. But Hughes can go for those 75, 80s game.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So do you have anything else to say? I think that's pretty much it all covered.
Yeah, no, just yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good,
Thanks
good
for
to
coming,
chat
mate.
and get outside the echo chamber and have a bit of a chat with some players whose names we wouldn't normally sort of discuss. And it is important to look at every single player and make sure you don't have your player goggles on. I know there was a number of years ago where we were talking about James Maloney as a buy, and then he ended up, being a really nice cash cow where Nathan Cleary went down. Ryan suggested Jerome Luai about 3 weeks ago. He's averaging about 68 points since Ryan suggested buying him. There's all these players out there that a lot of people might not recognize as options. Alex Johnson is one that we flagged this during the week as somebody who usually averages. So he's normally worth about 5 to 550K. He's currently at 375K with a 44 break even. So he's a potential cash out option. You just got to really, open your mind to all the options. Really, think about these players and. Obviously, even like now, even with the +8 trades, there's only 13 trades left. There's about 13 rounds to go. So
Yeah,
every single trade that you make, you need to be thinking like this trade where and this is why I haven't pulled the trigger on McInnes to Connor Watson yet. Because I'm sitting there going, is this trade more valuable to be spent now for this maybe 5-point upgrade? Or is it going to be more valuable in round 25 when I've run out of trades? And then, Latrell Mitchell gets suspended for 3 weeks for elbowing somebody in the face. And I've got an 850K wing fullback and no trades left to sell him to somebody. And that's where you really, and that's where it's costing you 60 points a week for those 3 weeks or whatever that you're out of trades. I was ranked like 170 with 3 rounds to go last year and ended up at 750 because I ran out of trades. So that's been my big thing for this year. I'm really trying to focus on being very judicious with my trades, particularly at this time of the year and planning in advance. So yeah, definitely get amongst that.
yeah. I do agree with that. I know me, someone that I always go hard on trades and plan. I'd have a lot of cover for about round
Yep.
25, 26, 27. And
Mm-hmm.
it worked. And then last GI fielded 15, still finished about, I dropped, I think, 1,000 ranks, still finished about 2,000. But yeah, dropping the playing with the 15 and had one of them, Harrison Graham, who got knocked out in round 27. So I just think, and you don't have those loopers there. But I just had one very last question. With you, you're wearing a Cowboys jersey there, and the Fanatics have been massive on this guy. He's been one of my favorite players for years on years, and we all know what he can do. But at 420K, you're paying an absolute discount for Jason Tamalolo. With him starting at 13 and coming back into a bit of form and minutes recently, is he an interesting option this week? And do you have the guts to pull the trigger?
No, I'd love to. Two 50-minute games in a row is promising. They have talked about managing him. There's a couple of games where he played 50 minutes early in the year, round 4 against the Broncos, and then played 30 minutes the following week, and then played 42, and then played 30.
Yeah,
They had, Jake Granville is out for the year with a ruptured bicep now, which is probably going to help him, but they've got McLean back, they've got Robson back, they've got, cover there. I can't see any sort of world where any sane person would buy Jason Tamalolo, as much as that makes me sad.
yeah. The thing for me is like he was a gun. I think he's the first ever player to reach 1 million in fantasy, and it's just we all know what he can do. Like you look at Jason Tamalolo in his prime, he was very, very hard to tackle. I
Oh,
just
2017 Jason Tamalolo on the run to the finals, mate. I remember, he was running about 300 meters a game with John Asiata at 5'8" and Michael Morgan at halfback. That were the good old days for the Cowboys. That was a great time to be alive. Unfortunately, he's just played too many minutes for too many years, and he's still doing a job for the Cowboys. It's just not the same job he did before.
yeah. Personally, I loved him that much. I had to buy him in my super coach team. But I don't think I'll be buying it in fantasy considering super coach is my main. I mean fantasy is my main. But yeah, thanks for coming on, mate, and we'll see you in another one.
No worries, mate. Sounds good.